A Fox 5 update to a story we brought you yesterday about a Postal Service letter carrier being robbed in Summerlin. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service has been investigating the crime, which happened on March 4th, and two other mail carrier robberies in Summerlin, which happened in November and September of last year. The Inspection Service says it appears all three robberies are linked and were likely carried out by the same group of people. The investigation is still active, and there is a $150,000 reward for information to catch the suspects. Anyone with information should call the Postal Inspection Service, and we have the information on how to do that on fox5vegas.com. And the Postal Inspection Service is also investigating a break-in at a post office in Summerlin, which happened in late December of last year. The suspects pried open P.O. boxes, stealing the mail inside. And if you have information related to these mail-related crimes, you can contact the Postal Inspection Service. We have a link also on our website, again, at fox5vegas.com.